guest, Mr. Chandrashekharji, a senior journalist, economist, and a co-founder of Metal Trendzz, to initiate today's webinar with his signature presentation, The Big Picture, Macro Trends Shaping the Metal Markets. Chandrashekharji, over to you.
Oh, thank you, Binaji. Such an inspiring welcome speech. I thoroughly enjoyed what you spoke. Give me a moment. I need to share screen. Will you enable me? Okay. Again, just to reiterate what Beena Ben said. Welcome, each one of you. Such a delight to be here. I have been. I'm speaking on macro trends shaping the metals market very quickly, and Beena has been graceful enough to give me 15 minutes. For I need to finish this in 15 minutes, and I hope I will. Okay. Now, first of all, again, this is a slide I probably must have presented in ILZDA and several other metal events, maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago. But believe you me, this is absolutely relevant even today. We live in a VUCA world. VUCA represents volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. That is what characterizes our world currently. And this has been so over the last 5 or 6 years, for sure, there is no doubt. But even earlier, in 2008, 9, 10, we had all those meltdown and all that. So that was also VUCA time. Now, there are several drivers, and this is my favorite slide, actually, but I'm not going to dwell on it at length. There are several drivers of the global metals market, global commodities market in general, certainly global metals market. One is economic growth, very positive correlation between economic growth and commodity consumption, particularly industrial metals, geopolitics, war-like situation, or political instability that creates huge amount of uncertainty and impacts the market. Monetary policy, a tight monetary policy, higher interest rates will impact the market sentiment. A weaker currency will obviously make imports expensive, make exports the more attractive, etc. All that. And currency fluctuations, all of us know how it happens. Weather, yes, weather is more important, of course, for the agriculture commodities, but don't dismiss weather when you discuss the metals market, because weather and natural events, natural calamities, definitely like flooding impact the mining activity. It impacts production. Therefore, weather is something we need to track very, very closely. And last but not the least, the fund play. The speculative funds or investment funds, your hedge funds and pension funds, etc., play a big role in the derivatives market. And when there is a huge flow of funds into the derivatives market, it usually has an exaggerated impact on price. So we need to understand, we need to track each one of these drivers. They all operate either singly or in combination, but they'll have various intensity. The intensity of impact of each one of them will vary from time to time, which is very important. And now, as if geopolitics and other challenges are not enough, we have one Mr. Donald Trump in the White House. He's threatening the world with tariffs. Well, that's a reality, and we have to live with it. And then let's quickly look at, and we did 1 or 2 events in the last 2 or 3 months discussing the potential impact of Trump's tariffs on the metals market. Now, from an Indian perspective, very, very clearly that the US has demanded that India accept the Section 232 tariffs on steel, and that reductions are only possible through quotas. This is the US's stand, and they have done it with UK's automobile, etc. And therefore they want to replicate that with India. But we all know at this point of time, India and the US are engaged in a conversation, in negotiations, which is called BTA, that is bilateral trade agreement. And within this bilateral trade agreement, depending on what India is going to give up, if India is going to, I don't know if I should use the word succumb, if we have to succumb to US demands in a number of areas, then it is also possible there is a complete removal of steel tariffs because steel tariffs are imposed by Trump, saying if it is a national security threat to the US, then we'll impose that. Therefore, because India's exports are not a national security threat, that's what they would say, and then they will waive the tariff on this. The latest, I think yesterday, Trump said he's going to look at whichever country does not enter into an agreement with the US, there will be tariff between 15% and 50%. Now he keeps changing his stand, but we have no control over that. And 1st August is a D day, so let's wait for 1st August and see what he's going to say. But from a steel perspective, which will obviously have an implication for zinc, galvanized the steel, we will. I've brought in this slide from that perspective. Okay. Now, what are those macro trends that we are actually looking at that is impacting the global market? One is green technologies and energy transition. This is a major macro trend in my view. There is a rising demand for green metals because the world is moving or shifting towards a low carbon economy. To what extent, what will be the acceleration, how fast we will move into low carbon economy, that intensity could keep changing from time to time. But the direction, in my view, is very clear. Countries are willing and are going towards the low carbon economy. And second is, of course, sustainable production methods, etc., with least impact on environment. Then you're looking at child labor, and there's so many factors that go into this sustainable production method. I'm not dwelling at length on all this. I'm just flagging these macro trends. The next one is, of course, technological advancement. There are definitely mining and processing innovations, and zinc is an integral part of all this mining and processing innovation which is happening for metal zinc. Then you have new materials and alloys that are coming up, which is a part of the macro trend in the global metals market. And most important, I believe, is Industry 4.0, or what is called smart manufacturing, where technology is already in some of the developed countries playing a very crucial role, whether it is Internet of Things or artificial intelligence. I think this trend will continue, this trend will catch up, and this trend will spread. So green technology and energy transition, technological advancement. Then you also have, of course, geopolitics and trade tariffs. We have seen in the last few years, actually, geopolitical developments have resulted in sanctions, in protectionism, in resource nationalism. Countries are wanting to sit on their natural resources. They want the natural resources used within the country, imposing export restrictions, etc. And supply chain disruptions we have seen, particularly during 2022 and 23 because of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, etc. And of course, now, in the last 6 months or so, Trump's tariff turbulence, his tariff threats are causing turbulence in the marketplace. This is another macro trend, but we still don't know how it's going to pan out eventually. But maybe 1st August is a critical date, or maybe he may postpone his decision to even a later date. We need to wait and watch, because he postponed it from 8th or 9th of July to 1st August. And now he's talking about 15 to 50%. So we'll have to wait and watch. There is no certainty about this. And the last macro trend is sustainability and the economic, social, and governance factor, the ESG factor. Extraordinarily important. Environmental regulations are tightening in every country. Countries have natural resources, but but the utilization of natural resources would have some implication for the environment. And for environmental regulations are increasingly impacting the metals market. China, for example, has imposed so many restrictions on pollution, on aluminium production, because it's highly energy intensive, steel production, etc. The next one is sustainable sourcing. Countries now, importers and buyers and users in the Western world are now demanding that countries that export, that supply, do what is called a responsible sourcing. Ensure that environment is protected. Ensure that there is no child labor. Ensure that there is no exploitation of workers. Ensure that mine workers have a certain safety standards, etc. All that goes into responsible sourcing. And of course, the last one is the recycling and circular economy. All of us know recycling, of course, happens. The world is now talking about circular economy. And we in India, of course, usually we always practice circular economy without even realizing and without even talking about circular economy. We use, we by and large supported the circular economy because we don't throw anything, we don't waste anything. We reuse, we recycle. And then that's what is a part of the circular economy that the Western world is talking about. Now, from an input point of view, I think critical input for galvanizing steel that all of us know, and that galvanized steel is used in infrastructure, construction, automotive, etc. But currently, these sectors actually face some amount of demand weakness because China is slowing down, Europe has slowed down already. There's a big risk the US will slow down too, primarily because of import tariffs, etc. Some amount of demand destruction. And therefore, there is these sectors, automotive, construction, infrastructure, which are the user industries, are all facing some amount of weakness in the growth, and therefore there could be a reduction or slower rate of growth in demand. Mine production, after many years of deficit, the current report says it started to increase from first quarter of 2025, which is a good sign. And for the whole of 2025, there is a projection that it can grow by 3% the whole year, which again means that we'll have decent amount of supply. Therefore, on the one hand, there is a certain demand weakness given the status of global economic growth. And on the other hand, supply is likely to increase, which these two, weakening demand growth and rising supplies, these two factors combine to kind of weigh on the market and weigh down the zinc market prices. The US market announcement, the tariff announcement, obviously had a big impact on copper and other base metals, but surprisingly, it has not had much impact on zinc. But because zinc had already fallen in the run-up to the announcement, zinc prices had actually fallen. While other metals substantially, most of the other metals benefited by this tariff suspension for 90 days, etc. Zinc hardly had any movement, and therefore by end of June, zinc in the global market was trading at just about 7.5%, down from the beginning of the year. Therefore, if you look at the base metals basket, first half of 2025, I would think zinc was a loser. Yet, in the last few days, zinc prices are beginning to recover. There is now a forecast that the zinc market has moved from surplus to deficit, which obviously will have a certain impact on prices. But I'm sure we have experts to discuss the current scenario. With this, I think I've used my 15 minutes of speak time. I will rest here. I'll conclude here. Good luck. God bless you all. Please stay back. We have excellent. We have a lineup of star speakers. Raise questions, get responses from them, and I'm sure it's going to be fantastic over the next 1 to 1.5 hours of this kind of conversation. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar.
Yeah.
That was a very insightful presentation and very crisp as always. And we truly appreciate your valuable perspectives.